So one thing I've been doing in my garden recently, and just in general, for a soul day activity, is something known as prayer. And this is something I have done in my videos recently for this good couple of months in this year. And this was using these mala beads from, I think they were from actually Tibet, I think, using this bell. And what I've come to an idea, this is more of a Buddhist tradition, or a Buddhist monk tradition, something that they do in Tibet. And what I feel when I do Om Mani Padme Hum is that I do feel a calm and a peace. After the 103, or I think that's the number of prayers that you'd say, but after that number, and then I do Om Mani Padme Hum, and I find that it helps me concentrate and meditate in the moment. And I feel like that's what a soul day really is. It's to be one with the moment. So today, I actually went to a coffee shop, and there's a few coffee shops. I went first to Black Sheep and did like 20 rows of knitting. And then I found another like one called Hope Cafe in Romford, which is like this kind of charity shop kind of esque kind of place where there was like a knitting community, and I knit with them. I did like 5 rows and had a cup of coffee. So it felt like I was traveling, journeying, wandering, but also doing something to participate in society and find something unique that I could actually share with people. And the knitting is coming on pretty well, and that's also part of my soul day, is to knit. I learned knitting from my nan, so it's something that really does hold something true to me. So right now we're going to be doing just a small prayer, but if you want to just close your eyes for just a few moments and just hear what I'm like in a prayer, or do this kind of mantra, maybe you can vibe with me at the same time. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 mani padme hum, hum 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 mani padme hum. And all of a sudden, my mind quietens, and the world around me that's so busy becomes so still. And the cold doesn't affect me, and the noise surrounds me with the cars bustling around. Silence. And I feel this is what this practice does. Now, personally, I used to wear this when I went to work, when I was doing that prayer, 30-day of prayer. Right now, the great goddess Suna, or Sol, has come to grace me with her light. Thank you, Sol. Thank you, Suna. This is what I'm talking about. I personally feel like this simple practice, now you don't have to buy a bell from Tibet, but I just find it aesthetically pleasing, and the sounds pretty good. You don't need to get beads like this. I just feel like these beads really are traditional. And I like, this is like rosewood. It was actually made in a lab, funny enough, the wood itself, but this is rosewood, and it actually definitely makes you feel a certain way. If you have anxieties, wearing something like this underneath your shirt really does make you feel kind of like connected a little bit more than anything else. So I find that praying with this, you can typically go in the toilet and sit down, and as you go in the toilet, pull these out and just do the Om Mani Padme Hum in your head, either say it out loud. And I really do feel like it's one way of disconnecting you from the reality of the chaos of life, and it's one way of just appreciating the small moment that we actually have. And in real life, that's all we really do got, is this very, very small existence of aspect of life, and how we should appreciate every moment, because life is going very, very quick. One day I'll be sitting there like an old man like my granddad and thinking, wow, life goes really quick, it goes like a flash. And this is the reason why I believe that having small moments like this of gratitude, saying a mantra, and technically Om Mani Padme Hum is a mantra of something that's being grateful for all things in life. I think there's more to it than that, but it's about appreciating the small moments of life. And one thing I love about doing this small little thing like this, I haven't done it in a while, and I feel like this mantra really makes me find peace. But then after opening my eyes and it just centers you in the moment. I think that is another really good point to actually do, is to center yourself in the moment, because that's all we've got. Another little practice that I like to do is I like to do rattling, and using my rattle to either get the attention of the spirits of the land, or legitimately just like find peace in myself. Now this here is actually a real shaman's rattle, and this was purchased for me as a gift from a friend. My friend's name is Keith. So Keith is someone who got this for me when he went to South America. And I gave him a challenge to find a shamanic rattle, and he found many types, but he actually went into, I don't know whereabouts in South America, but where he went in South America, it wasn't very much near Ecuador or the Amazon rainforest at all. It was just another area of South America. He went there for a meeting. And he went everywhere looking for this one rattle. And the thing is, this is actually a real kind of rattle. He went into the shop and he asked a lady who looked like 100 years old, by the way, I'm looking for a shaman's rattle, and this is what I'm looking for. She was like, the one that you're looking for is the one that was actually found in kind of like the deep jungles of the Amazon. She says she only had one left, wrapped it up, and it was this one. I found out that in shaman circles, the color pink actually represents the heart chakra, and to work with the heart chakra for healing. This is a very well-known pattern in Ecuador or Peru or South America that was used by the shamans in that time. They would also put inside of this kind of like egg kind of shell, or this kind of shell pattern, there's probably like beads in here. This is real goose feather, and then you have like this kind of like driftwood looking thing. So I really love how this feels, and it really does make a noise. So something else I've been doing for my soul day is whistling and rattling. And this is how I kind of feel more grounded and connected. And as you can see, the goddess Sol has graced me with her presence, and I think it's time to do some whistling, don't you? Another thing that I've also been doing as part of my soul day is drinking a whole lot more water. So this is like my mason jar. I stopped drinking water out of a glass because I think it's way too mainstream, man. And also another thing is that the problem with drinking out of a glass is that it just looks way too simple. I feel like this gives me a really good vibe. I got this for like £1 in like Asda. So I just feel like it gives me a really cool vibe. It gives me that kind of vintage aesthetic, and it's really cool to have like something like a handle and to drink out of a straw, so then you get a decent amount and you don't drown yourself with water. Also, this is like hydrating me, so probably I need to piss more, but I like drinking out of this because it just gives me that really cool vintage aesthetic, you know, man? One day they will become mainstream, and then I'm gonna have to be drinking out of like a jar. Or, you know, I'll end up drinking out of a stein. But that's the thing, I don't follow trends. I've never been a trend follower. I know I might look like someone who does follow trends and a hipster who follows trends. Like, I don't see the point of saying to people, oh, I'm not a hipster when I dress like a hipster, I live like a hipster. So a hipster is more of a lifestyle and a mindset. And it's about not being like everyone else. Be quirky, be yourself, be someone who's different. And enjoy being different, because that's what makes you unusual. That's what makes you interesting. And that's what makes you stand out from the crowd and leave the herd behind. And that's what I'm about, you know? Another little thing that I've been doing as part of a soul day is smoking from a vintage pipe. So this here is my vintage pipe. I'm not entirely sure if you'll be able to see it, but it actually has a little brand in there that actually says it's an Imperial London. Now, I've been getting into pipes recently. Maybe in my last video you saw me smoking a Hobbit pipe, which was really kind of cool. But something I've really been wanting to collect recently, and it's been part of my soul day, is collecting vintage items. So if you looked at my Instagram, I just recently got like a vintage cassette tape listener to listen to music more frequently. And I've just frequently been listening to the Smiths when I was at the coffee shop knitting. But I bought a cassette tape player, and I'll show it later in this video, but it's one way that I've been enjoying music without the ads. You know, when you listen to music on your phone, you just get ads and ads trying to sell you shit that you don't fucking need. Well, I like the idea of using cassette tape. Yeah, I could use CD, I could use an MP3, but I like the idea of something vintage, something right next, maybe a year or a few years above the vinyl, because you can't just carry a vinyl everywhere. People used to get into Walkmans, so I bought a Walkman from a vintage shop and started listening to that. But another thing that I've been doing recently is buying just vintage aged kind of, like, this has been used for many years. Imperial London. This is an original pipe. It looks like the same kind of pipe that J.R. Tolkien used to smoke. And I find that it really gives it that really cool aesthetic. The other one that I've got in the house is one that I haven't really cleaned out yet. And it's mostly because I'm waiting to clean it and just take it apart and clean it, because you would have to take this stem off thing, and then you'd have to clean it through here using pipe cleaners and pipe fluid. So I like to do it properly. But the reason why I've been getting into vintage pipes is because I love the style. A vintage pipe is actually a lot more smaller compared to the modern pipes. Modern pipes seem a lot more chunkier and are a lot more bigger. But one thing I love about vintage pipes is that they're so small and they have that vintage appeal. Knowing that someone once smoked this 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it really gives some sort of history to a piece. And it reminds me that these are collectibles. But vintage pipes are a lot more cheaper because they actually are second-hand. If you bought a pipe that hasn't been smoked before, then you're paying 60 to 70 pounds. So buying a vintage pipe, not only are you saving money, but it's also a collector's item. The other pipe that I've got is also known as Benwell. It looks like one of them detective pipes that come out like this, and you can hold it like this. I really love the aesthetic of that. So one thing I've been doing as a soul day is smoking a pipe. I only do it like maybe once a month, or not really once a month, but maybe like a once a week thing, where I'll smoke a pipe. And it helps me ground and be in the moment. I've done it around my nan and granddad's, where my nan was showing me how to knit. I was smoking this pipe, and it was one way of grounding me in the moment and enjoying the moment. And I feel like this is what a soul day is about. A soul day is about taking time out of the normal digital world that we live in, very fast paced, on the mill, always in the rush. And it's about embracing that more analog, in the moment, reading a book, doing some knitting, doing something that centers you in the moment and doesn't take you away from that moment. So you might say, how do you pack a pipe? Well, obviously this is a clean pipe. And what I typically do is that I just shove loads of tobacco in there. Now, I've seen some tobacco or pipe tobacco videos where they would typically like shove loads of tobacco in there and then pack it in really tightly and not leave any chances for like airflow. And I like airflow because I feel like that really helps. Another thing is that I use this kind of pipe tool. So what I do is that I have the pipe here, and then I just kind of make sure it's all cushioned in well, because what we need is to make sure that the flame goes in and kisses the tobacco. So you're leaving a little bit of room there, not wasting anything right there. That's how I've been packing it. The next thing I do is light this tobacco in my pipe. So what I typically use, you can use any particular lighter, but me personally, I use the lighter from Constantine, because I just really love the aesthetic feel, and it has the Constantine thing. This is kind of based on the model. I just really like it because it's super bulky and it actually lights the thing. So, put your pipe in your mouth, get your lighter, light it, like this. And then I just sit here and puff away. Now I know how Gandalf feels, or any particular hipster, when they smoke a pipe. It's mostly to enjoy a moment, to center yourself and enjoy this moment, you know? I can do hoops, but it's windy right now, so doing hoops is irrelevant, you know? And it's not about puffing it and puffing it and puffing it. It's about enjoying that moment, enjoying that time that you have to be present, you know. And also have a cough while you're doing it. Makes it more genuine. No, I actually have a cough, sorry. The whole point of plant smoking is to chase the flavour. It's the flavour of the tobacco. So what we're doing is sweet peaches, and I'm tasting the sweet peaches coming out of it, and that's the whole point. It's about enjoying a moment.